Hello, happy lockdown, everyone. I hope everybody's keeping safe and well in these very strange times. Um, a very good friend of mine, Katherine Ellis, has asked me to do a little vid talking about my career and music in general, and she's asked me some questions which must be answered. Um, so I'll do my best to go through these and hopefully throw some light on music, my perspective on it. Uh, my name's Paul Barry. I'm a songwriter. Um, I've been in many bands over the years. I was in a band with Katherine, actually, a covers band. She kind of carried the whole band, though I just strummed funky guitar in the background and wore flares. Um, But I guess my most famous compositions would be Believe by Cher, Hero by Enrique Iglesias, and Let It Go by James Bay. Um, yeah, I've worked with all kinds of people over the years. I started when I was about 12. I was inspired, maybe younger than that, listening to my mum playing piano. And I remember she played three different songs, and I said, they're brilliant songs. Who wrote them? How did they come about? She said, "Oh, it's all the same band called the Beatles," and that kind of blew my mind. I thought, "Wow, somebody made them. The same people made them." So that kind of inspired me, and I started a band with a mate of mine about the age of 12, and we had a record deal at about 15. Um, it was in those days, early punk days. That sort of thing happened quite a lot. Not much came of that, but it was a great experience. We got on TV and stuff, and it was fun. And yeah, I went on to things and other bands and a solo career of sorts. Although I didn't really release anything of note there. But yeah, I did that for a while, and then in the early '90s, I sort of let go of trying to be an artist and just focused on songwriting. And that was like turning a key, a magic key, and just sort of taking the pressure off everything. I was maybe trying to do too many things, and just focused on writing songs for people and with people in particular, and really enjoyed it. I loved the fact that I could be writing with a country artist one day and a sort of R&B artist the next day, and embraced that fully, and I have done ever since. Whereas it was a bit of an anathema to me that when I was younger, I was a bit too took myself far too seriously and wanted to be an artist, and thought the idea of writing songs with or for people was a bit selling out. Um, I don't think it is now, obviously. Um, I just think it's music, and if it's good, that's all that matters. So anyway, Catherine's questions. What do you love about your job? Um, it's never the same. Like I was saying, working with different artists, I love that. I love the thing that I could be working with, you know, someone that's been around the business for ages and very seasoned performer and writer or whatever, one week, and then the next week I'm with some new country artist or something that is 19, and has a completely different take on uh, what music is and what it is, what it means to them, and that's something I love. Fascinated with the fact that everybody kind of has a different take on how they make music, and it never never ceases to amaze me that different writers and particularly different artists just have a different way of creating and different inspirations, which is brilliant. And hopefully I can bring something to them that they haven't had before. So yeah, working with all those different people is brilliant. The most special thing about music is it's a form of communication that I think is unique and very powerful. Without being corny, you can write a song that can go out there to the world and spread its own message, its own feeling. It doesn't mean you're Bob Dylan. It's just you can write a song that means something, makes someone happy or cry or laugh. Even if they hate it, it's a reaction. You're communicating, and that's very special, very hard to do that. From Cumbernauld, where I lived. Anyway, so yeah, I love that. Right. So, what's the best career decision you ever made? Well, I think the one particular one was quite early with that band that, when I was a kid. We sent a tape to Paul Weller, who at the time was still in the Jam. It was just before they split up. And amazingly, he responded positively as well. Said he liked the songs, and my band, The Questions, supported the Jam in Edinburgh, and other things came from that. It snowballed from that, and he was an amazingly positive influence. He still is. I've actually worked with him just recently again. He's still the same amazing person he was then. And I think that's pretty pivotal, that if you meet people like that in your career, if you can't be fortunate enough to meet people like that, and they say, hey, yeah, go for it, he did, and I sort of had my first hit song from that. The process came from that, but it was for someone else. And actually, although Paul liked my voice as a singer, he also was always encouraging me to write songs and maybe think about writing for other people. And at the time, I didn't get that. I was like, really? That doesn't make sense. You just do songs that mean something to you. You don't write them for somebody else. So I was it took me like another 15 years or so to actually learn that thing that he already had grasped. Worst career, probably made quite a few actually, but I think as a songwriter, I can't think of a few, but one in particular, it was in about 2000, 2001, something like that. I was due to work with Gwen Stefani, and she hadn't done any co-writing yet. She'd only written with her brother in the band, in No Doubt, and I was unprepared, and I don't mean, I had some, so I always sort of try and prepare when I'm going to work with an artist and have 2 or 3 ideas or starting points, I was moved to, is that a word? I was very prepared. I had 10 ideas or something to throw at her. But that was a mistake. She wanted to write from really a track or a groove or something, and the guys I worked with, we didn't have a studio at that time. So it was in a shed in my garden, really, a bit like this kind of thing. And she was great. She was lovely. She came down, and I threw these song things at her, these song ideas of what I thought would be great for her. And she was really cool. We worked for a couple of days, and at the end of the 2 days, it was perfectly clear that she wasn't coming back. She was very polite about it, very cool. But I remember thinking, boy, you got that wrong. You should have listened maybe sometimes it's an important thing. Absolutely prepare for, preparation and hard work is pretty much the secret to everything in life. But you also, in music, anything collaborative actually, it's very important that you actually listen and sit back a bit, have those things, those cards that you think you can put on the table and you can throw in the melting pot, but be prepared to chuck them all in a bin as well. Be brave, be ready to do that. And I think I wasn't then. I was just trying to steamroller it a little bit, and I look back and I think that was a bad idea. And she went on to have a brilliant solo career. So what would you be doing if you were me now at college? I'd be loving it. I didn't have that avenue open to me. I just had to get in a band, and I went to uni and used a grant to buy a transit van and a bass amp. But I would have loved to have gone to a music college, like the Liverpool Performing Arts one, or the Brit School, or one of those places. That would have been great. That would have been a dream. So I'd be just working with everybody I could, just trying every situation combination. This is the time to experiment. Well, it's always the time to experiment, but this is the time to just find your feet, and try everything, kind of, because you don't know where music's going to take you. You have to be open. Don't have like a fixed plan. Music doesn't work that way. I don't know about other careers, but music just doesn't work like that. I've known people, very talented people, who've had a very fixed plan, and it's kind of choked them. I think it's important to just be open and go with the flow sometimes about where music's taking you. And it's important to make the right decisions. Don't ever chase the buck. Don't just do something for the money. And obviously sometimes you have to, but as a rule, don't do that. Do what your heart tells you. What you remember, what you started for, and what made you feel good, and try and follow that. But not too fixed on where that should be, like a master plan. There ain't no master plan. How do you organise your time? I'm quite disciplined. A lot of writers are. I think people wouldn't probably be surprised. I try and work Mondays to Friday, 10 to 7. I try not to work weekends. That doesn't always work, of course. If you're on a deadline, you've got to get a project done. I've been known to work, crazy hours and long hours, but I do find that songs. I'm talking about, this is a songwriting thing rather than making a record. Making a record's a different thing. You can work flat out for 3 weeks solid, getting no sleep, and it can be the right way to do it. But for songwriting, it's a different thing. Most songs are written, to be honest with you, within a couple of hours. If it ain't happened in 2 hours, it's probably not going to happen. But you can spend, if the magic doesn't happen in 2-3 hours, it might not happen that day. But you can spend hours after that perfecting those lines in the second verse, something like that. That can take time, but I find that when you get to 4 hours and 5 hours, if you haven't got it, it ain't going to happen that day. But that doesn't mean to say you just work those hours. I'm just saying the magic's got to happen within that time, and then the rest of it is just chiseling away details, maybe doing a demo or something, Right, what do you think is your greatest strength? Okay, well, I think I try to give something new. I try to be original. I don't always succeed. But I try not to do what's expected. And sometimes when the A&R man tells me something, I do exactly the opposite, and it works because the business tends to work on, oh, we've got an artist, and they're this kind of artist, and there's a hit record out just now that would work with them. So that's what we should do, just put the two together. That's probably the worst thing that you could do, because that's already been done. People have already heard it. And almost without exception, people don't want that. So if they're saying to you, oh, we want that kind of up-tempo, quirky track, do a ballad. And vice versa. You know, if they're saying they want a really intense, slow song, try something funky. I don't know. Just mix it up. Sometimes that spectacularly backfires, of course, and it has done on me with Gwen Stefani and others. But I still think that's what works for me. That and persistence, just never giving up, really, just going that extra mile. Weakness, what's your weakness? Okay, I know what that is. Every creative person, procrastination, pondering. Oh, I could do it this way, I could do it that way. You know, you might just have one line and you're going round and round your head and singing it 100 different ways, and it can get nuts. But sometimes you have to explore that to a certain point. But I think what I would do is just get so confused if I didn't have other people that I trusted that I could play things to and go, what do you think? You know, and then they just see it a lot more cleaner than I do and go, well, that's what you're saying there, isn't it? You know, because I can tend to overthink everything. That's the problem in the creative process. So you need someone to bounce off, and I would say that going back to actually that earlier question, what would you do? The one thing I would have in mind, if you want to be an artist, in particular, management. Maybe it doesn't apply so much to writers, or if you want to be a musician, but if you want to be an artist, management, I think, is absolutely crucial now. Less so than chasing a record deal as such. Just thinking about a good management team, because that's very important. You need to build a relationship with someone that you can trust, that gets you. And also nowadays, I think most writers communicate with managers rather than record companies, because they are in tune with the artist and know what's going on. So that's an important thing to think of. If you know, as I say, that you can't have a master plan, but keep that in mind, that, you know, if you want to be an artist somewhere down the road, you might want to do that. How do I make decisions? Just instinct. Don't overthink, like I've just said. Remember what got you started. Try and tune into that if you're not sure about something. I think what would have been my instinct when I was young, and I heard that, you know, I think would that be the right thing? So just follow your instinct. Don't overthink. What do you read? Everything. I love biogs, all kinds of biographies, but at the moment I'm reading F. Scott Fitzgerald, The Beautiful and Damned, which is great for imagery and language. You learn a new word every page. Just good to freshen things up. But I biogs wise, great ones are an insight into musical minds. Bob Dylan, Nile Rodgers one is brilliant. That's great, really worth reading about how he survived his childhood and how he went on to do what he did in his life. Pretty amazing that he survived, and he's a great talent. But my favourite one is the Bruce Springsteen one, the new one. Actually, it's worth getting that as an audio. You get the CD and just listen to him, because the boss actually recites it, talks through it, so that's brilliant. So check that one out. What secrets behind getting to where you got to? Just look at everything as an opportunity. And even bad things, sometimes you don't get a gig. Just think of it, that door closed, it let another one open. You might not see it at the time. It's funny like that. Music's funny like that, but one avenue can lead you somewhere unexpected, and sometimes it takes a sort of bad thing to happen to let a good thing come into your life. So think that everything can be an opportunity. Meet as many people as possible, work with as many people as possible, and keep that enthusiasm that you had when you were young. It's fun. It's meant to be fun. It's hard work too, but as long as you keep in touch with that energy that first got you going, you'll be okay. So yeah, good luck to all of you out there. It's a wonderful world, music. I hope you have as much fun as I've had doing it, and I hope you have success. All the best. Stay safe.